So back then, there were no webinars. Like this stuff did not exist. There weren't people doing weekend workshops where you could go and hear 15 different people speak and teach. Like that didn't exist yet. So I literally had to learn everything by the seat of my pants. So my learning curve, it was really long because I made mistakes. I bought houses that had more damage than I knew how to estimate. So my biggest thing is I wish I would have had a mentor that could have said, Dwan, do
Mm-hmm.
this and this and this and this. And when this happens, don't do that and do this and this because my learning curve, I mean, honestly, it was like 10 years and I was still making mistakes and still not doing things right 100% because I was learning as I went.
Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Kristy Yoder, host of the Master Delegator podcast. The Master Delegator podcast is for busy and overwhelmed entrepreneurs who want to learn how to become effective in the area of delegation and learn how to hire great virtual assistants to help them scale their business and have more time and freedom. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to click the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. All right, let's get started. Hey, in this episode, I had a chance to talk to Dwan Bent-Twyford. She is America's most sought after real estate investor. Dwan started as a broke single mom who had been fired from Denny's. Having nowhere to go but up, she climbed her way to the top of the real estate investing food chain, owning rentals, commercial buildings, becoming an international trainer, a best selling author several times over, and much more. When she turned 60, with her crazy pink hair, unfiltered interview style, and 30 years of real estate investing, Duan decided to start a fun, lively, and extremely educational podcast, and the exciting world of Dwanderful was born. She has written three bestsellers and has over 500,000 students. Dwan has closed over $1 billion in real estate transactions and 2,000 personal deals. Now, Dwan is rehabbing an entire town. Her goal never changes: to make a difference in the lives of others. In addition to speaking on any real estate investing topic out there, Duan also guests on many other topics. Having been a single mom herself, Duan loves to share her secret sauce on how to build an empire while raising a family. Duan has been a Christian for over 30 years and loves to share what the Lord has done for her. She bases her business on biblical principles and offers great advice on combining the two. Duan also loves to encourage women. She shares her unique way. She broke the boys club mold for herself and how she can help you do the same. Dawn has been married for the past 20 years, and she and her husband, Bill Twyford, work together. They offer hilarious ideas on how to live, love, and work together. Starting from Dennis and working her way to diamonds, Dwan is wise beyond her years. Hey, Dwan, thank you so much for showing up today. And thank you so much for also doing an interview with me, just a couple of minutes ago. I love it. You are such a great host. And so now the table has turned. You
Yes,
know,
I'm
don't
excited.
worry. I'm not gonna ask you difficult questions. This is not a test, and you're such a great person. I love your energy, and so I'm excited to get to know you. You have such an amazing story. So let's begin
Okay.
with your background. Like how did you go? How did you start as a broke single mom? Who got fired from Denny's, and
I'm
now
Jenny.
you are the America's most sought. Yeah, I mean, now you are like the number one America's most sought, you know, sought after real estate investor. So,
Investor. Yeah.
and just to let you know, real estate investing is actually something that I wanna dive in, in a in the near future.
I will teach you
And
everything you need to know.
yeah, I know. Like I went to your website and you have so many great, free resources available online. So I'm gonna download all of them later on after
No, I'll send you everything you want, girl. Are you kidding me?
Yes,
I'm always
yay.
loving to help people get involved in real estate investing because I actually work in the foreclosure sector. So I find people that are in foreclosure and I help them. I buy their house and I help them get moved and get situated and kind of get a fresh start. So, so part of how all that started is so as you and I talked on your show, Kristy and I were both fairly wild when we were younger. And I was wild all the way up till I was in my late 20s. But then I got married and I had a baby. And I thought, I'm almost 30. I'm having a baby. This is great. And I actually waited on having kids because I really did want to be like the Girl Scout mom and the field trip mom and the slumber party mom. And I wanted to do those things. And I didn't want to raise my kids in daycare. I wanted to actually be a mom. But then when my daughter was 8 months old, her dad and I split up like super unexpectedly. So now I have an 8 month old baby and my husband is gone. And I ended up losing my house and my car and like all this terrible stuff happened. And I was like, oh my God, could my life be any worse right now? Like it was a real come to Jesus moment for sure.
Yeah.
And so I just thought about it for a while and I thought, okay, well, I partied in my 20s, so I have no job skills. And I didn't go to college because I was partying. And I thought, okay, I need to do something. So what can I do? I can work from home. I can raise my daughter. I can still do the things I want to do. And so I took only a few weeks because I like was broke. And I just thought about, I thought, well, if I get a job, I'm 30. So if I get a job, like I knew in my mind, I would probably work that job till she got out of school. So I'd basically be 50. And when you're still 30 at your age, 50 still sounds pretty old. As you get older, like I'm in my 60s now, so I'm like, well, 80 is not really that old anymore. But in my 30s, I thought, wow, 50, I'll be like this old gray-haired woman, and I'll just be like, my daughter will be moving out. What will I do then? And I always wanted to own a business and work for myself. And I thought, you know what? If I'm ever going to do it, I have to do it right now. But I didn't know what to do because I didn't have any skills. Like really, I didn't have any skills. And so I guess as fate would have it, God introduced me to a couple people and they were rehabbing. So they would buy houses
Mm-hmm.
and they would fix them up, new kitchens, bathrooms, carpet tile, fix them up, and they would sell them. And grew up in Ohio, living in the country, I'm really handy. We had a barn, we had chicken coops that I helped build. We helped
Mm-hmm.
the house we grew up in. Me and my sister helped my dad build the house. So I thought, oh, okay, I can do it. Fix up a house and stuff. I can do that. That's so easy. I can do that. Well, I actually did not realize that rehabbing is like you need actual skills and it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot harder than it looks. But I didn't know that. So I think sometimes being so naive was good for me because if I had known what it takes to do it, I might have talked myself out of it for fear. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm just like paint it, carpet it, decorate it, fix up a few things, and it'll be great. And so I literally went door knocking because back, 30 years ago in 1990, there was no internet. There was no way to find foreclosures. There was nothing. None of that existed. Like we had the GPS and a map book. None of those things existed today. So when people tell me like, oh, it's so hard, I'm like, listen, shut up. None of the things that you have today, you have the palm of your hand, the world. I had nothing. So I would drive to the courthouse. I would write down the names of the foreclosures. I would go door knocking with my baby hanging on my hip and say, hey, I want to help you out. And I don't even know how I ended up doing that, except I went through it and I thought, wow, that was like the crappiest feeling ever. And if I can find houses and I can fix them up and make them look nice and help people that are in a situation that was like mine, I would be helping and making money for myself and
Yeah.
having my daughter with me. So it seemed like a good idea. And so I did that. And my first deal, so I moved into it, I rehabbed it. That's when I realized I didn't have any actual rehab skills. so, so I, for real, went to Home Depot and took all those classes and learned how to lay tile and put in toilets and ceiling fans. And I learned
Wow.
how to do it all. And Ayla was with me every day. She's only, like a year and a half old at this point. and and I really enjoyed it. And I sold it. I made 22,000 bucks on my first deal. So I was like, wow. So now this is like 1991 or something. And at that time, I don't even know what minimum wage was back then, but it was
That's a
three,
big
four
money during
bucks.
that
It was
time.
something. So
Yeah.
$22,000, I was like, oh my God, I have literally the most amount of money of any person I know. I'm so rich. I'm literally rich. And I thought, okay. And I had fun, and Ayla was with me. And rehabbing and tearing houses up was really good energy for me because I was so pissed off. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like therapy.
Yeah.
So I got therapy. I got a house done. I made 22 grand. I was like, woo, I'm gonna do it again. And then on my second deal, I don't know how it happened. I made $50,000.
That
And I
is
was like,
awesome.
oh my God, I have $50,000 in the bank. I literally am the richest person I know. I'm never going to do anything else except for this. And I just stayed with it. And now I've been doing it over 30 years.
Congratulations. And like I said, this is something that I want to do as well in the near future, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners or ambitious people out there who wants to do this as well. So if you don't mind me asking, like, during that time when you started investing, in real estate, did you have any capital or did you borrow money from someone? Like, how did you
I
buy
lived on
the
credit
thing?
cards. Credit
Credit
cards.
cards.
Credit
Okay.
cards. I had a Home Depot credit card. My biggest credit card at the time. I had like a $15,000 balance on Home Depot, which that was a lot of money 30
Hmm.
years ago. And I was able
Yeah.
to rehab my whole entire first house literally on credit cards. And I sold it. And the funny thing is, it's just funny how like God leads you sometimes. Because I put the house on the market, and on the fourth day it was on the market, this couple came in that was completely qualified. They had all the money, they had everything. We were able to close in like 3 weeks. And I was like,
Wow.
wow. So then 22,000 was a buffer. So then the
Yeah.
next house I moved in. So I moved into houses until Ayla started kindergarten. I would live in it, fix it, sell it, move. Live in it, fix it, sell it, move. And then by the time she got kindergarten, I thought, well, I can't keep moving now because now she's in school.
Yeah.
And I happened to be in Boca Raton, Florida, of all places. I was living in a rehab, and I thought, well, this is a nice rehab. It's got a pool, it's got a diving board. She's in school. I'm going to live here. This would be a great place to raise her. We're right by the beach. Like, this would be great. We're staying there. And so what happened is I went from rehabbing to wholesaling. And
Mm.
that's actually where I made my money, because then I knew how to find homeowners in distress. And then I would get them under contract. I would wholesale it to like a rehab or a landlord. And when I started wholesaling, all of a sudden I was making so much money, and I ended up becoming like a cash millionaire. I had so much cash. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm making so much money. And I didn't know what to do with it yet. So it was a while. I was probably 7 or 8 years before I even started to buy rentals or anything. I just I just
Wow.
found it wholesaling, and I made all this money, and I had so much cash. And I was like, oh my God. So of course I bought a house, I built a house,
Hmm.
and I bought a car, and I bought a boat, I bought all the stuff that, like you think that you need. And then I thought, I have all this money, I need to start buying some rentals. So I got into buying rentals, and which led to commercial buildings, which led to right now my husband and I are actually rehabbing a town in Iowa, like a whole town. And so it just led. And somewhere along the way, people were like, Tom, you're making so much money. You're at all the title companies. Everyone sees you at Home Depot. Like, come to my real estate group and tell people what you're doing. I said,
Wow.
okay, that'd be fun. So I went to a RIA group one night. They let me talk for like 10 minutes. And all these people came up and said, I want to learn what you're doing. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know enough to be able to do it again, and I can show a few people. So literally my first little workshop, like 10 people came to my house, and I did like a whole day and taught them what I know and gave them some handouts. I was like, okay, let's all go out and work together. And next thing you know, I was teaching and writing programs and writing books, and had two bestsellers and an infomercial and a podcast, and it just like blew up.
That is so awesome, and now you have built an empire, and you're able to spend time with your family and do whatever you want to do because you have the resources that you need in order to do those things.
Yes.
And what was one thing that you wish you knew when you started real estate investing?
Honest to God, so back then there were no webinars, like this stuff did not exist. There weren't people doing weekend workshops where you could go and hear 15 different people speak and teach. Like that didn't exist yet. So I literally had to learn everything by the seat of my pants. So my learning curve, it was really long because I made mistakes. I bought houses that had more damage than I knew how to estimate. So my biggest thing is I wish I would have had a mentor that could have said, Dwan, do
Mm-hmm.
this and this and this and this. And when this happens, don't do that and do this and this because my learning curve, I mean, honestly, it was like 10 years and I was still making mistakes and still not doing things right 100% because I was learning as I went. I was
Yeah.
making a ton of money, but I didn't even know enough to invest. I didn't know what to do. I just like sat with all this money because I didn't know what to do with it, and I am proud to say I do want to just side note. I went to every field trip. I was the Girl Scout mom, the Brownie mom, the Daisy Girl mom. I was field trip mom. We had all the slumber parties at my house, and I got to do every single one of those things all through my daughter's life. And I never missed a single thing. And I'm super proud because my actual goal was I just want to figure out how to make money and not put her in daycare. I don't know what I'm going to do, but
Yeah.
that's my goal. And then the goal found me, the real estate found me, and I was able to actually live the goal that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel excited about that. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, do not start real estate investing by the seat of your pants. There's too much training, there's too many podcasts, there's too many people like me that have programs that will help you and hold your hand. Don't try to reinvent the wheel because it's a very tough path.
Yeah, and I feel like real estate investing 30 years ago is different now.
Yeah.
If you start real estate investing today, can you still use your credit card to fund your business, your
Oh
investment?
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
if
People.
you
Oh
have a lot
yeah.
of credit, probably. But if you
Yeah.
only
People.
have
I
like,
mean, people buy houses on their credit cards. If you've got a couple $100 on a
wow,
credit limit, you can buy a whole house on your credit card. So
that's a
people
lot.
can,
Wow.
yeah, people can buy houses. I mean, I don't suggest that people do it that way. So I guess in over the decades, the easiest thing, and I always tell people, start with the easiest thing. And the
Mm-hmm.
easiest thing is finding someone that's in distress, foreclosure, whatever. They're losing their house and wholesale it to somebody else and just make that paycheck of the in-between money. It's called
Mm-hmm.
an assignment fee. Just make that money. You don't need to start off rehabbing like I did because you don't know what you're doing. And I don't, and a lot of people are like, oh, buy an apartment building. That's what you should do. Step right into buying apartment buildings. It's like, but do you really know anything about running it? Like that's such a big commitment.
Yeah.
But there's so many more easier things that you can do to get some cash. And then like get on one of my webinars or get one of my programs or work with someone that you feel like you can relate to and learn. So make some money, make some cash, and then decide what you want to do. I know all these people are like, oh, you should buy it. We're buying 100-unit apartment complex. That should not be your first deal.
Yeah. I mean, if
Like,
you don't, yeah, if at that moment you can't do that yet, there are a lot of things you can do, just like what you said, find foreclosure homes and then,
and
work with
wholesale them.
that. Yeah, wholesale them.
I meet people every day that are in foreclosure. I mean, I have, leads and things out there, and people call me and they're losing their house and they're like, hey, I can't stay here. I have to move. Well, if the bank takes their house in foreclosure, they're going to get a foreclosure on their credit report, which hits them for like 150 points. It's going to be on there for 7 years. They're really tied down to not being able to buy another house down the road. So I take them, I buy their house on them, I make sure they get enough money to move and get situated into a new place. And then I wholesale it for 20, 30, 40,000 bucks. And everybody makes money and everybody's happy. And then my
Mhm.
rehabber is over here fixing it up and selling it, and he's making money. And he's like, hey, Dwan, I'm almost done with that rehab. Do you have another house you can sell to me? So you build a buyer's list and you just sell these houses like all the time over here.
Mhm.
And it's just that it's of all the things that exist in real estate, it's the easiest. And I
Yeah.
tell people start with the easiest because if you mess up everything and it all falls apart, you're only going to lose a $10 deposit. that you gave to the homeowner, but you're going to learn a big lesson. If you
Yeah.
mess up a rehab, it could bankrupt you. If you
Yeah.
buy an apartment, even a small fourplex, you don't know what you're doing, and you could lose your entire life savings. And I'm all for those things, because I do every single one of those. I own every single one of those, but that is not the place to start.
Well, that is
It's
good
just
to know.
not. It's just not. And people are always like, I interview a lot of people that are like, oh, Dawn, yeah, people should start up being a landlord. I'm like, they should, but if you don't know anything about being a landlord, like, just start easy and work your way up.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's just very refreshing to hear that from you, because, I thought, when you start real estate investing, you gotta buy a property and have it rented out. And
That's what
so,
everybody thinks.
yeah, that's what everybody thinks. So thank you for breaking that bubble. And so you said earlier that you wish you had a mentor. So I'm pretty sure right now you have somebody, kind of guiding you through, what you're currently doing right now. So how do you make sure that you are up to date with the real estate industry, with the changes in the
Mhm,
economy right now, you especially in
mhm.
real estate, you have to be up to date with everything.
So I actually don't have a mentor like that, because Bill and I mentor other people. So
Mm-hmm.
I have masterminds that I run.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I'm sort of at the top of the food chain, where people come to me for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in a couple different mastermind groups, but I find that um, I just find that if I'm going to be like in a mastermind group, I just want to be in like with other Christians and people that are not wanting to cut corners, and they don't really
Yeah.
care about the homeowners that much. And the few groups I've joined, I ended up not staying with them, because I didn't feel like my moral compass was aligned. So like God is my mentor, and I
Mm-hmm.
take the time to study and learn and stay up on things, because I know what I need to be researching. So I stay up on, so my husband and I sort of just stay up on things together.
That's
I
really
follow
awesome.
everything. We have a lot of contacts in the bank, so I'm always calling my friends and like, hey, what's happening with forbearance agreements? What's happening with loan modifications? What's happening with COVID? So I'm able to call people and directly talk to like bank presidents and find out what's going on. And so I don't know. God's my mentor.
Yeah, although you don't have a business mentor, but you have a community,
Yes, I have a
that's,
community.
yeah, that's helping you, with everything, with the latest, with giving you updates on real estate investment. And so I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the guys that I listen to when it comes to real estate investing.
Yes.
50% of the things that he talks about in his podcast, I don't even understand it, you know, because I'm so new to this kind of thing. But I'm learning. He said that I'm currently reading his book titled Rich Dad Poor Dad, or Poor Dad
Mhm.
Rich Dad, I don't know.
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it's it's
Bill and I know Robert and Kim.
that is awesome. So it's very helpful, he said, don't be afraid of that. You can use that to get rich.
You
And I
can.
and I and I and I totally believe that, because you're kind of a living testimony of that as well. You use your
Yes.
credit card,
Yes.
to rehab a house, and now you are wealthy.
Yes. Yeah, so you can. So I do agree with his concept about using debt, because one of the things that we agree on with the Kiyosaki's, you can have $10 million worth of debt, but own $20 million worth of property, because you bought it right. So you thought, people are like, oh my God, you're $10 million in debt. Oh, how do you sleep at night? It's like,
Yeah,
well, but my stuff's worth 20.
yeah,
So if I sold half, I would have no debt. But if I keep buying things and they keep going up in price, you become what? That's how you become wealthier.
yeah,
But
that's
as
true.
like straight up out of the gate, no, I just tell people, like, don't do that yet. Wholesale a few houses, get like 100,000 or 200,000 in the bank, have like a cushion, so that you can really say, I'm not going to work a job. I'm going to focus on this real estate. I'm going to learn, and I'm going to educate myself, and I'm going to have somebody guide me, so I don't make a bunch of mistakes, because
Yeah.
there's so much information out there. But then that's the other thing, there's so much information out there, and you know this, Kristy. Someone could be a
Mm,
great marketer and have this
mhm.
program that looks amazing, but then you read it and there's nothing in it. They're just a good marketer. They're not an actual investor.
Yeah, that's true. And
And
I like I like what you said earlier, that it's really important that you meet somebody who shares the same beliefs or values as
Yep,
you, because
your
you have to
moral
be,
compass.
yeah, you have to be, you have to do things that you believe in, and
Mhm.
things that you will not make you feel like it's making you feel uncomfortable and compromising your values. So I think that's really very crucial when it comes to running a business. You don't have to, it's okay to like talk to people and listen to them, but you have to really filter out everything they said, because some people, they just learn everything as well online, and
Yeah.
you know and whatever they teach you, somebody just taught them as well, those kind of things that they know currently.
So many people. There's so many people that I know for a fact have only closed like 2 or 3 deals, and they wrote a program and they sell it online. And when you read it, and like someone like me reads it, I'm like, but there's no actual instructions in here.
Yeah.
So I feel like if the person that's teaching you is not like the Kiyosakis, they actively do deals. Bill and I recently bought 20 buildings and we're rehabbing a town. Like we're doing it.
Wow.
So if people aren't doing it and they're just only teaching, it's not that you can't quit doing and start teaching. But if they
Mhm.
haven't done a deal in 20 years, they don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So you
You
need to
have to
follow people
practice
that
what
are
you
doing it
preach.
today
Mhm.
and have the heart to want, because not everybody wants to teach other people. They don't, not everybody's got the patience or the temperament. But like part of my thing is I was such a broke single mom. And the first woman that I helped, she was in foreclosure. I had lost my house. And I was like, well, Barbara, we are cut from the same cloth right here. We are two women that I had no one help me, and I'm here to help you. And I don't really know what I'm doing, but we'll figure it out together. And I helped this woman, and she made money, and I made money, and everybody made money. I thought, that was a really great thing. I was able to help her out of a situation I was in that was horrible. And
Yeah.
she made money and I made money. And I was like, wow, this was the
Win-win.
greatest thing. And
Yeah,
I
it's a
did
win-win
it and I did it
situation.
and I kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And I mean, I have people call me years later saying, hey, I just want to thank you. My credit's good now. You helped me with that. I'm able to buy another house if it hadn't been for you. And people will send me Christmas cards like for a decade.
Wow.
I'm just like, oh. So I
That
just
says a lot about who you are as a person.
Thank you. So I just sort of
Yeah.
became a teacher, mostly because I just didn't want to see other people go through what I went through. Sometimes, your mess becomes your message.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
And I
And
tell
so
people, listen, my mess became my message because I was a hot mess. And then now I'm not a hot mess. And it's like my mess did become my message.
yeah, I love that. You really need to use your pain into something, good, or maybe even greater.
Are you sick and tired of being overwhelmed and afraid you'll never scale your business? Meet Smart VAs. Unlike many virtual assistant agencies that only assign one dedicated virtual assistant, we provide flexibility for growing businesses by assigning a team of experienced virtual assistants that can do different tasks to support your continuous growth. Visit smartvas.online to book a free discovery call and start growing your business.
And so tell me about the moment you told yourself that you need to delegate. You kind of mentioned to me your story about, the girl Laura, you delegated to that girl and you micromanage. But before
Oh my
you,
gosh.
yeah, but before you talk about that, tell me about the time where you're like, I need somebody to help me.
So at this point, I was rehabbing houses. So I was doing most of the work by myself. I was going to Home Depot, buying the supplies, bringing them there. I had a contractor that was sort of assisting me. Then I was trying to do all the contracts, the closings, the bookkeeping, like all of it. And at one point, I was just like, oh my God, I'm working like 20 hours a day. I'm just so stressed out. There's too many things to do. But I didn't even want to like let this guy go pick out the cabinets and bring them to the house because they might not be right. So I had to do everything. So I would be working and then buying supplies and then loading them in a truck and taking them to a job site and then doing the bookkeeping and signing the contracts and working with the homeowners and organizing the closing. And at one point I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally killing myself right here. So I sat down one day. So I was in an airport. I told you. So I was in an airport,
Mhm.
and one of my flights was delayed, and I did not have anything to read. So I thought, I'm going to go in the bookstore. I'm going to find like one of those just little books that you can read
Mhm.
quick. And there was this whole shelf of books, and it said, learn how to delegate. And it hit me, and I thought, you know what? I don't delegate. Maybe this will help me. So I read this book, and it couldn't even have been about 100 pages. But the whole thing was about, like you said, with your virtual assistants, take the thing you don't like and have someone else do it. And then when you do more of the things that you like and less of the things you don't like, your days are better. You enjoy your life better. You enjoy your
Yeah.
business better. So on this plane flight, I thought, okay, what do I hate the most? And I thought, I hate to clean house and I hate paperwork.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I'm still a single mom. I'm still keeping the house, doing grocery shopping. I'm taking Ayla to and from school. Like I'm a crazy woman. And I thought, okay, I'm going to hire a housekeeper. So I got a housekeeper. And at first, she only came in once a month. And then she came in twice a month. And then she came in every week. And then she started grocery shopping and running my errands. And then I had her like 3 days a week. And I was like, oh, this is the most amazing thing. And then the second thing I thought I hate the most is paperwork. I don't know. I see a stack of paperwork and my chest just clenches. I hate paperwork. So I got a bookkeeper. And once I got that person, I could just write the checks and take care of things and keep my taxes up and keep things really going. I thought, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. Well, then the next person I hired, I called her a transaction coordinator. Once I got a homeowner under contract, I would give her the paperwork and she would organize all the paperwork that you have to do for a closing because it's a lot. And I was closing like 1 or 2 deals a week. So I was spending a whole day doing paperwork this girl, and I hired her to work 40 hours a week and she was busy the whole time. Like there was
Wow.
not much paperwork. And I thought, how was I doing all this by myself? And so I started just delegating. And then, but the first poor girl, I literally just hovered over her every minute. Well, this is not right. That's not right. You didn't just do it. And she was like, listen, do you want me to do this or not? Like, you got to let me do it. I am a CPA. I know what I'm doing. You have to let me do it or you have to do it yourself. So she like yelled at me. And I thought, okay. So I let it go. And when I
Was she the
really
bookkeeper?
yeah. So when I
Okay.
really let it go, I remember thinking like, I really don't have to think about that anymore. That's out of my head now. So I like freed up that space in my head. And even my housekeeper, I'd be like, well, you didn't put this back and you didn't put that back. You didn't do that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a micromanager. And I'm not a person like that. So I hated that part of me. So once I let those two people just go, and I never thought about what they did again, I just double checked here and there, just here and there. I just realized I was so much happier. And then I found a guy I was rehabbing still. So I found a guy to like oversee my jobs, like a general contractor to oversee my jobs.
Mhm.
And I remember the first day I said, okay, these are the cabinets I want. This is the kitchen. This is what I want. And I let him go buy all this stuff at Home Depot. And I remember having so much anxiety. What if he doesn't get exactly what I want? What if he picks out like the wrong doorknobs? Like it was stuff like that. I was lost my mind. And then he did it and he put this house together and the same as Rudy and everything was beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to let go of things. And then I just became a crazy delegator.
That is awesome. Sometimes it's just all in our head, right?
It
Sometimes
is.
we have stuff in our head. We think that's gonna happen, and we let ourselves dwell in that negative thinking, and eventually
Yeah.
realize that we wasted time thinking about
So
those
much
things
fun. But it
that
was
didn't
like
happen.
when I tried to rehab a house, I wanted the kitchen to look right. I wanted the doorknobs to look right. I wanted the carpet. I wanted everything to match. And I thought, I have the best decorating skills. Only I can do it. And when I finally let this guy, he was like, Dwan, just let me go. I know what you
Mhm.
like. And just let me do this next house. And when it was all done, it was exactly the same way I would have done it.
That
And
is
I was like, oh
awesome.
my gosh, I freed myself up from like 100 hours a week by just having 3 different people.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, now I can like sleep, I can rest. And I'm still single. I mean, I didn't marry my husband now till Ayla was 13. So I was a single mom for 13 years doing houses and then started teaching and training and rehabbing and wholesaling. And I had her with me that child's been to 1,000 closings. And and so delegating, I tell you that day, that book, and I wish I had that little book. I don't know what it's called, but that book changed my life. And I felt like God told me on that day, like, you need to do this or you're going to die. You're going to hate your job. And this is what I want you to do. I have plans for you. And I was like, okay. And I very begrudgingly delegated the very first task. I mean, like I begrudgingly, but once the bookkeeper did a great job, I was like, I don't know why I didn't do this like 3 years ago.
Yeah. So
And so I was a begrudging delegator. But now I'm just like, okay, you want me to do what? I got the perfect person to do that. I'll get back to you. I
yeah, that's
delegated.
awesome. So do you think you are gonna be where you are at right now if you haven't delegated or if you did not delegate?
No, there's no
No.
possible way. I would never know because when I got asked to write my first book, even writing a book's very time consuming. And I don't think I would
Yeah.
have had the time to write the book. And then I actually wrote 3 bestsellers. I wrote the first one, Short
Yeah.
Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing. Then I wrote the second one, How to Sell Your House When It's Worth Less Than the Mortgage. And then my third book I wrote with Steve Forbes called Successonomics. And I wouldn't have had time to write the first book if I wasn't delegating. And I had never thought about writing a book, but this publishing company called me and said, hey, we hear your name everywhere. We want you to write this short sale book. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to write a book. That'd be so fun. I'll do that. But then
Hmm.
that's another job.
Yeah.
You can't just keep taking things on. Somewhere you're going to explode. And I don't believe I would have ever really gotten into the teaching side if I hadn't delegated to free my mind up to create programs for people and things that are easy to follow and do the books and do the other things because you just can't do it all yourself. If I had to do everything by myself, I'd still only be able to do one house at a time. And now
Yeah.
I have 20 buildings.
Yeah.
Buildings.
You won't be able to scale quick if you're
I
the
can't
only one
scale.
doing everything. Yeah.
And,
So
and
if
some people don't want to. Some people are like, hey, I just want to do like 2 houses a year. It's like, if you want to do 2 houses a year, you don't need to
yeah,
delegate.
that's
That's
fine.
easy.
Yeah.
Do it. Have fun with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I always want to be the number one. I want to be the top wholesaler. I want to be the number one short sale book. I want to be the number one everything. And you can't do that if you don't delegate. You
Yeah,
cannot.
that is yeah, that's so true. So going from, starting from, uh a broke single mom and now a very wealthy woman who is helping a lot of people out there to do the same thing. During that process, while you're earning a lot for yourself and for your family, did you ever have to deal with imposter syndrome? Did you have did you have a hard time accepting that this is who I am now? I'm no longer broke. I have money now and I can do whatever I want.
Um, I think there was a place because when my husband left, it was really unexpected. And losing my house and my car, and like I only had $75 in my purse. Like I was like no joke broke. Like I had to call my mom to buy groceries. And I just remember thinking, like, I'm never going to be in that situation again. I'm going to make so much money. I have so much money in the bank. I'm never going to be broke again. So what I did was I just accumulated money and I didn't invest it. Like I didn't buy a rental. I didn't do things to make my money make more money. I didn't want to let go of the money that I had because I didn't ever want to be broke again. So I
Mhm.
like became like a money hoarder. And I just had money. And I was like, no, I'm not even going to buy gold. I'm not buying nothing. I'm just keeping money in case I'm never going to be broke again. And I mean, it was a while before I thought, okay, I could buy one rental and it could bring me in some money and I'll still have this much money. So I'll never be broke. So
Yeah.
it wasn't that I had a hard time accepting that I was making money. It was using it wisely to build more money because I didn't want to let go of any of it. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah.
So I was like a cash millionaire, but I owned nothing because I was never
Yeah.
letting this money go.
I mean,
So the hardest thing for me to do was to start buying properties and rentals. It's like, oh my God, I gotta let go of $200,000. Like, what happens?
yeah.
And I was terrible. It was so it's just a weird. So I never had to think like, hey, that's not me anymore. It's like I don't want it to be me, so I'm never gonna get rid of my cash.
Wow.
And so I tell people now, I'm like, listen, you got to buy rentals. They're like, oh, I'm like, no, you got to start buying. You got to buy things. You have to invest. You have to have things. You have to have things that bring you in money. Because what if all the banks close tomorrow and all your money's in the bank? What do you have? Like you have to start that. So I sort of became I tell myself I'm like a cash hoarder. I just had all this cash, and I was like, I wasn't getting rid of any of it anywhere. And
That's a
that was
very
like five
interesting
years. That was
story.
like 5 years like that. I mean, it was like
Wow.
so I was like in my mind, I was like, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, but I can still be broke, so I'm never giving up my cash. It was a weird transition. It took me a long time to be able to like spend it on something.
I mean, that's a very interesting story. And in a way, I'm kind of like that as well, growing up in a third world country, and now I'm here in the States, and I'm making a lot more money than I used to, when I was in
Yeah,
the Philippines. So my money was just, in my bank account, during my first year. But then second year, third year, I learned how to invest in stocks. And now I wanna jump into real estate investing because, you know, from what I heard, from the people who have who have built their own empire, they said that investing in real estate is better than investing in stocks, because
it
if you
is.
invest in stocks, you're kind of like relying in the government to see where
Me
your
too.
money goes. So that's why I want to get into real estate investing. And I feel like, you know um
I will help you. I will make you will be one of my success stories.
oh my gosh, now I'm so
But
excited. I
no,
was just
I
gonna
will definitely.
say.
I would love to help you, especially because I know like where you grew up. I know kind of where you came from, and I would be so honored to be like the person that mentors you. But the thing is, if you look at every year in the Forbes magazine, they have how many new millionaires this year and what they're doing, what asset class they're in. And the number one way that people have become millionaires in America from the beginning is in real estate,
Yep,
owning land, owning houses. I mean, you
exactly.
always have the crypto people, you have like the Facebook, you have the things. But if you look at all the new millionaires every year, 80% of them became millionaires by owning real estate.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I believe that God led me to you. This is,
That's right.
this is a divine appointment. So I'm
This
so
is our
excited.
divine appointment. That's right.
Yeah.
It is our divine appointment.
So I think my last question for you is, what motivates you to help other people do the same thing?
I just think I've always been, and I noticed even as a kid, I was always that kid that would like save the little birds. And if I saw a little animal that was hurt, I would nurture everything. And I would always loved babies, and I was a babysitter, and I always helped my grandparents. And I just always was that person that liked helping people. And just as my nature, I'm always like, oh my gosh, what do you need? What can I do to help you? I will help you. I'm that person naturally. When I found myself in such a crappy situation and not knowing that there was a way out and losing my house and going through that, I thought, man, somebody should do that. Somebody should help other people. Like, I'm a single mom, I got a baby, and I have nowhere to live. Like, this is a terrible situation. And so once I did that very first deal, I thought, wow, I could actually make a living helping people. And I like helping people, and I know how they feel because I was there. Like, I
Yeah.
feel the pain, I get it.
Mhm.
And sometimes the pain that you go through is the thing that leads you to having a VA office, or to be a motivational speaker, or to talk to people who've gone through terrible diseases or terrible things or whatever. Sometimes the thing that you went through gives you the desire to not see other people go through that. And then
Yeah.
when I started making money and I started getting students, and I remember one of my students became a millionaire. They called me and said, oh my God, Dwan, I actually became a millionaire like right now, and you helped me every step of the way. And I was like, oh, I helped someone become a millionaire. I can do that. Oh my God, I'm going to do that.
Wow.
So then I started helping people become millionaires. And that was like, never was that in my mind that I would do that. But my first millionaire, Gary, he worked with me for 1 year. I mentored him for a year. He made $1.4 million. He bought 30 rentals. And on paper, he was a millionaire in 12 months. I was
Oh
like,
my.
wow, I have some sort of superpower. I'm going to do that. And the next thing you
Wow.
know, I was teaching.
Wow. That is impressive. Let's start today, Dawn.
I would, I would, Gary and I now, it's been 20 years. We're still great friends. Bill and I travel with him. We've become best friends. And he's like, man, I'll never forget the day, because he asked me, he saw me speaking somewhere. He's, I need someone to mentor me for a year. And way back then, it was, he goes, I'll pay you $10,000. And that's a lot of money back then. I was like, okay, $10,000. You do everything I tell you to do for a whole year. It's everything you say. At the end of the year, he made 1.3 million, had 30 rentals, and I was like, hey, I can do this again. I can help other people
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
doing it actually become wealthy.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was like, holy cow.
That is so awesome. So, if there's one thing you can say to those people who want to build their own empire, what what would that be?
Well, based on whatever type of empire they want to build, I would tell them that they need to take the time to read books and to learn and to educate themselves. And they need to find somebody that they feel that they align with, because it is a very tough and lonely and long road doing it by yourself. Like the
Yeah.
wheel's already been invented, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And there's not a better wheel. It's the same wheel. Like the real estate, it's the same wheel. There's just different people that teach it. And like VA, it's the same wheel. You may do it a little better or different or find something that makes it better, but it's like you don't need to reinvent the wheel from the beginning. And people always think they can like listen to one webinar and they can figure it out. You can't do that. I mean, you can. I did without any webinars. I figured it out, but my learning curve was long. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's long. I bought a house one time. I didn't even know. This was way in the beginning. I bought a house and it looked like it needed quite a bit of work, but it wasn't a lot of money. I'm going to buy this house. This will be cute when I fix it up. This house had a demo order on it. So when I'm back the following week with my list of all the repairs I'm going to do, the house was gone, flat to the ground, demoed by the city. I was
Wow.
like, and then they sent me a bill for $5,000 for cleaning
Wow.
up all the stuff. And I was like, how did my house just get demoed? I just bought it like a week ago and it's gone, because I didn't know that I needed to go do some of the title work myself, because it was a 48-hour closing and I didn't know that. And that was like a $20,000 lesson.
Wow. At least you learned from that lesson.
I did. So when the house was demoed, I thought, well, I could rebuild it. I could build a new house. First I went to the title company, and then I found out what it was going to cost for everybody to sue everybody because this one little thing got missed. So I ended up, it was in a neighborhood, and I ended up calling, went to some city person. I said, you know what? I've got this piece of land. I paid cash for it. The house is gone. I told them the whole story. And I said, I just want to donate it. I'm going to donate it if you'll put a park. So there's a little park inside the neighborhood for the kids, but it has to be a park, and I have to have it in writing forever. It's going to be a park. And then the guy goes, oh my God, that's so great. He goes, do you want us to name the park after you?
Wow.
I said, no, because I bought a house that got demoed. I do not want my name on it. I said, you cannot name it after me. I don't want my name ever on this. This is one of my biggest bonehead mistakes I've ever made. And I've been doing this for a little while. I don't want my name on it, but I want to do that. And so every now and then I drive, it's up in West Palm Beach, Florida. Every now and then I drive by,
Wow.
I'm like, oh, there's my little park. That was a big lesson that day.
That is so awesome. You have such a great heart. What a very unique story. So, where can people find you online?
So it's super easy. So my name is Dwan, and I decided to be Dwanderful. I mean, wonderful. So it's Dwanderful, DWANDERFUL, Dwanderful.com. Dwanderful on Facebook, Dwanderful on Instagram, Dwanderful on Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok. I use Dwantastic.
Awesome. I'll
The
put those
fantastic, I'm
links.
Dwantastic. So they're all
Okay.
there, but just dwanderful.com, and I've got free ebooks for people, and I'm basically everywhere. And YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll put those links in the show notes. I mean, man, like I can just listen to you all day, Dwan. Like I just
Thank you,
want you to
honey.
take over this podcast episode because I feel like I'm gonna learn a lot from this woman. Like you're so smart. You're
Well,
quick
thank
wit.
you.
What they call that? Quick witted? Is that what they
Yep.
call it? Yeah. And you're
Yep.
gorgeous too. So
No, thank you. My camera's so bad today. You can't see
no,
my talking purple hair.
no, it's awesome. You look so gorgeous. But
Well,
yeah,
thank
I
you.
am definitely gonna reach out to you, to talk about real estate investing. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
in 12 months, I'm gonna be a millionaire.
Yes, you are. Let's claim that right now. We're laying it
Yes,
down. We're claiming it, and
yes,
that's what's going to happen. I'm going to help you.
yep. Thank you so much for your time today, Dawn.
All right. Thank you, everyone. God bless.